Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We are so excited to be back with you guys. We have missed you over the summer. My name is Artina McCain.
My name is Martin McCain.
And we are the McCain Duo. We're two college professors trying to help you create your musical identity. Starting a 3-part series about becoming the best musician you can be. And the first thing you can do, especially if you're a pre-college student or a young musician, is to take private lessons. So what do you think is important about taking private lessons, or the differences between people who don't take them and people who do?
Well, the big difference between students who take private lessons and don't take private lessons, I feel like the students who are taking private lessons just have more access. I feel like I can speak personally. I had private lessons all the way through school. And I always felt like I just knew I had a little bit more knowledge as opposed to someone who didn't take private lessons because, I was not just learning the repertoire that we were doing in band class. I was, focusing on other like fundamentals and etudes and working on solo repertoire in high school, like orchestral excerpts, some things that you might not actually get in your typical band class. And so I find as a college professor, even though I'll have some students come in who've had private instruction, and I've had some students who've never had private instruction, that doesn't necessarily will say, oh, the student with private instruction will be more successful. I mean, I've had some students who've been extremely successful who didn't have private lessons before college. But I do find that if you can get that access before you go to school, if you can get it even when you start in junior high, middle school, that'll be like the best thing for you.
Yeah, and even, piano, I know there are some areas where you can take like class piano in the schools in high school, or you might even have a program even younger than high school. I think it's just like Martin was saying for a band, you're only focusing on that repertoire that you're doing for the ensemble or the group, and you're not really focusing on your own personal strengths and even weaknesses so you can improve, right? So a private lesson teacher can really specify what you need to get better, because in the classroom setting, teachers are always kind of battling that, to teach to the highest person in the class or to the lowest person in the class. And so if you're in the middle, you kind of don't grow so much, right? Because they're not being pushed. Right. So it's really important for you to get instruction, especially if you're thinking about becoming a music major someday. So
absolutely.
So the next thing is, okay, I want private lessons. How do I get a teacher? How can we research a teacher?
So, this is very different within different instruments. So I know, like, you'll explain like the piano realm. I can explain the band realm and kind of orchestra. Orchestra is a little different because there's a lot of times where you have string players who are starting when they're 4 years old. We're not necessarily, exactly. Right. But you're not necessarily starting like a brass or wind instrument at 4 years old. Or typically, we're starting in the 6th grade. And so in some cases, in some band programs, orchestra programs, especially in the state of Texas, they have private lesson teachers who actually go to the schools. And so it's not necessarily where you're researching the teacher, but that you actually have access to the teacher. There are some opportunities in larger programs where just because there's so many people wanting to take private lessons, there are several teachers on one instrument, and that's where you can do the research and see like, oh, well, this teacher, like their students are extremely successful. They're making like all region, all state. I want to study with this person. And so that's a good way to research and see the success rate of the particular teacher. There are some programs that don't have that. And how do you find the teacher then when the teacher's not actually coming to the school? Locally, if there is a symphony orchestra, you could contact the orchestra members and see if they're giving private lessons. Also, within the community, if there's a college, you can see if the professor is teaching lessons. If the professor doesn't have time, see if they have a graduate student teaching assistant or a high quality undergraduate student wants to take on private students as well. That's a great way to look for students. What about the teachers? But what about the piano?
Yeah, so pianist is a little bit different because often piano teachers don't go into schools. But in most cities, there's what's called a Music Teachers Association, and that's affiliated with MTNA, which is Music Teachers National Association. And you can find a list of teachers in your area that teach your instrument. Ideally, it's supposed to be for all instruments, but a lot of times it's very keyboard heavy. So that would be one way to do it. Again, you could go to the university and see if the professor is available to teach you if you're a very serious student, or if perhaps they have like an undergraduate, a really talented one, or a graduate student who might be interested in some lessons. But I think even one step beyond just researching the teacher, even if the teacher is coming to the school, is finding the right personality fit, because sometimes teachers have equal education and they're really good and they have high quality, but it just doesn't gel. And sometimes it's really great to just find a teacher who can push you in the ways that you need to be taught and the way that you need to be spoken to. So that's really exciting.
Absolutely.
So let's say I've got a teacher now and I've been doing a really great job, but I'm ready to go to the next level. What kind of teacher could I find then?
So when you're ready to go to the next level, the artist teacher is like the route that you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like say you are wanting to get into a prestigious music festival, you're looking into getting into your dream college music school, or you want to do competitions at a young age. You can even maybe at a young age, and that's where you want to seek out a master teacher, artist teacher who can help you take you to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there might be, depending on geographically where you are, that might actually mean a time commitment and a driving commitment too, to drive to that particular teacher.
Yeah, and I think the other thing about artist teachers is some of that is experience, and they've just worked with really high caliber students, so they know what that sound is supposed to be like. And then it could also be a teacher who's actually still actively performing, and then they have that experience of what it's like to become a concert musician. So if you're ready to go to that next level and you're a high school student, that's probably the perfect time to do that. Of course, you will be looking for that as a college student. And I think that's it for finding a private lesson teacher. That's the first step of becoming the best musician you can be. We'll see you guys next time.